All right, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. Let me get the comments. Welcome to episode 10. Can't believe it's episode 10 already of Reptiles and Cocktails. Hey, F&A. So we're going to get started. Come on in. As you guys come in, make sure you say hello. Let me know you here. We have our special guests right there. All right, so I just want to start off with getting a couple shout outs. Really fast shout out to the usual suspects. Definitely make sure you guys are checking in on Hair Down Fridays on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's just a bunch of reptile lovers hanging out. Yeah, last night was amazing. We got to see some of the most amazing snakes presented to us. It was really, really good night to see some snakes by Bomb Projects. He had He had some killer stuff over there, so it was really good. And you get to see a lot of snakes on Hair Down Fridays. So come join us. And like I said, shout out to the usual suspects. Shout out to Bosa Balls. You know, I'm gonna always give my shout out to Bosa Balls, who represents for everybody in the reptile community. The man has a great heart. He believes in, the unity of this community, and that's what we're going to do. And so Bosa always going to get that shout out and that love from me. Hello. Welcome in. Yes. This is going to be great. Yes. Now we're going to go into introduction of our guest. So I'm excited. I am a fan of Mr. Tim of Intrepid Exotics. A few months ago, we kind of stumbled over each other's pages and realized we had a lot in common. He loves, y'all know I'm the reticulated python whisperer, as my brothers call me. But I like to be an ambassador for the large snakes in general, specifically the reticulated pythons. I consider Mr. Tim one as well, and the large lizards, and just the reptile hobby across the board. He is a huge advocate of USARK, which I fondly believe that without USARK, we don't exist. And if you own a reptile, you should be a member of some level of USARK. He is a military vet, Army, combat, retired since 2005. I definitely learned that. I mean, first of all, everybody knows that hands down military across the board. Thank you for everything that you do. But people who actually served, went to war and made it home, it's a different type of appreciation for them because, not only did they sacrifice their lives, but they're here and they're living with some of those, wicked memories of what they went through. So I always have a soft spot for them. So shout out to all the military. But yes, we're going to bring on our guests and hold tight. And we're going to welcome Mr. Tim from Intrepid Exotics.
Well, hey everybody, how you doing?
How are you?
Oh, I can't complain one bit.
Wait a minute, all of a sudden it sounds like you underwater. Where's the mic?
Oh, does it? Let me try this again. I've got it down here. I was setting it off to the side because if I get Monty out, I know she's just going to eat this thing, get all wrapped up around it. So.
Let's see if we can get that.
What's that? Is that a little better?
Oh, no, still can't hear you.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
How's that?
No.
Anything?
Really?
Well, that's unusual.
So what I'm going to do, let me try and see if it's on my end again. I'm going to take you off and bring you back on.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. All right, I need you to be quiet though. What about now?
I don't know. Is that any better?
Nope, it still sounds that way.
Okay, let me shut that off. I had the stream up on YouTube.
Okay.
I turned that off.
Yeah, I was going to say, see if you can come off and see if that works.
Yeah, let me see what we got here.
All right. Welcome, F&A, Bosa. Hey, Wiz. All right, we got the family in the chat. All right, guys, just be patient with us as we work through this. Don't know what happened. We were good right before the set, so hopefully when we come back in, everything's good. All right, let's check and see. All right, let's see.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
That's really weird. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either.
Let me check my camera here, or my mic. How's that one sound?
Oh, so they said on their end, they can hear you fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's really weird. I can hear you. It's just that it sounds weird to me. But as long as the audience can hear it, perfect.
All right. Yeah, we're good to go then.
Let me start with my first question that I have. So when I first met you, I had no idea that you had been in the hobby for so long and you owned everything you own. So how long have you been in the hobby?
I actually haven't been in that long compared to a lot of folks. I got started pretty much when I first moved out here to North Carolina from Phoenix and got settled in and like planned to stay here. 8-9 years ago, something like that, is the first time I ever really started keeping anything. And I got started with marine aquariums there. So, I mean, it's been only maybe 3 or 4 years since I've really been keeping reptiles. So,
wow.
It hasn't been very long.
So that's crazy. So let me just tell you in comparison, guys, I'm going to ask him to tell you everything that he owns. I started owning reptiles 31 years ago. And if you look at what he owns versus what I own, I probably have just a little bit more retics, but for as broad spectrum of animals.
Yeah.
Tim, go ahead and tell everybody what you own.
Oh, let's see. I've got a couple retics. One of them, I'm popping chat out real quick and setting it up here so that I can kind of keep up with all of it at the same time. I took it down when I thought it was messing with the audio. But no, I've got 2 reticulated pythons, a male and a female. Monty, my 13, 14-foot female, is actually in a box down here waiting to come out. We'll see if she ends up popping her head out. And I've got a male retic that's 14 to 15 feet. I've got a male Burmese. I got a 1-year-old female Burmese. A couple of hognose, a couple of ball pythons, king snake, the green tree python behind me, who's the latest addition. Boa imperator, and a Florida king snake. So those are the snakes that I've got here. My main attraction, so to speak, is the Nile monitor. He's 2 to 3 years old now and pushing well. He's right at 5 feet. He's my most challenging animal.
Okay.
I've got him. I've got a black and white tegu, a couple of bearded dragons, some leopard geckos, crested geckos, and I know I'm pretty. The Pac-Man frog and the prairie dogs. The prairie dogs are awesome. Those guys are cool.
So that is like, so what made you just go from, okay, no reptiles to all of this? Like when did you realize, Lord Jesus, what did I get myself into?
Man, that wasn't, I pretty much said that same thing after I was sitting there with 2 monitor lizards and iguana and a bunch of other, when I first got started, everything that I had an interest in, I got.
Okay.
And then that's one big mistake that I point out to people. Don't do that because, you're going to end up rehoming something because you're just not going to have the time to devote to all of them.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I just started pulling in all kinds of stuff. And then slowly as I started to see how much time it was taking me, I'd start to vet some people and rehome a couple of the different animals so I can find a nice balance where I can actually spend time with them and socialize them and stuff like that.
So who helps you with all of these animals? Are you there alone or?
No, I've got a roommate here who's actually a lab tech in the veterinary industry. And she's spent 20, 25 years in veterinary trades.
Got you.
Yeah.
And so who helps you with all the building? Because you build most of your enclosures, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I do all that stuff myself. I've moved them all myself. You move an 8x3 metal meat enclosure by yourself, you don't move for a couple days.
So the good thing for me is that I can't do a lot of that by myself, and I have to depend on my husband, because if I could, it would be even worse than it is in here. If I could build retic enclosures alone,
Yeah.
it would be just insane. That would be the only thing. That's the only thing that stops me from continuing to add on, because if I could knock out walls myself and just start getting PVC and start just building bigger enclosures as they grow and things like that, it would be
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm going to start putting out some enclosure build videos when I get moved finally to a bigger place. But my entire basement right now is full. I can't really fit anything else down there. Got a snake in my living room. Well, I've got 3 enclosures in my living room. Got the enclosure back here. The other room's got the prairie dogs and a hedgehog in it. So you pretty much can't go into a room in this house and not have an animal within arm's reach, pretty much.
So the water monitor, when did you get that? How long have you had, and was the water monitor, did you have him since it couldn't have been since he was a baby, because he's huge, right?
Yeah. I've had him since he was about 18 inches long, 12 to 18
Okay.
inches long. I mean, he wasn't that old. He might have been maybe 6 months old when I got him.
Okay.
And it's been, I want to say right around 3 years, maybe
Okay.
2 to 3 years since I got him. So I'm
I
terrible with dates.
He just
That's why
climbs
I can't
all
get
over
married
your
again, because I'll never
head.
be able to remember anniversaries or birthdays or nothing.
I said he's like, look, I'm climbing everywhere I want to climb. Never mind these claws. I'm like, I was saying to Tim before we came on, my water monitor only will stay in his enclosure or in that garage vicinity. He has yet to come like busting in the house. I can't wait to that day. The tables will. That's how you know the tables woke. You will hear so much noise. So I can't remember what state are you in, Tim?
North Carolina.
Okay, so you're in North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
So my tables, when they go down, they've been down. The first year I had them, they went down from late August, and they came up like between the first week in April. This year they went down much later. They went down about end of October, mid-October, end of October, but they still sleep. But when they woke up last year, it was no doubt that they was up. I was like, what is that? And one woke up one day, and then the other one woke up like 2 days later. But I don't know if it's because they're hungry, but they make so much noise when they come up.
Yeah, mine. I got mine last. It was right about October time frame, probably when I got mine too. And she was here for a week and then went down, and she just came back up maybe a month and a half ago, something like that.
Okay, so and your temperatures are. So I really think it's temp driven.
Well, a lot of it too is I wake her up every month. I'd go in there and I'd check on her. I'd take her out just to make sure she's doing okay. And she'll wake up, she'll run around for an hour or something. She goes back down, she sleeps for another month. And I'm just kind of keeping an eye on making sure they're not getting too thin and things like that. And here about a month and a half ago, I went in there. She looked like she was starting to really lose some weight.
Okay.
I decided it was time to wake her up. And so I cut her. She had really deep substrate that she brumated in. I took all of that stuff out and put a thinner layer of substrate in there, and started keeping the lights on, and she just got back into her cycle.
Got you. So I check on them probably once a month. Like the first year was ridiculous. I probably checked on them honestly once a week, or I had to get even to turn off some of their lights was hard for me that first year. I just felt like nothing can actually sleep this long.
It's weird.
Not eat. And one of them, I don't even think he came up much because I got cameras on him. So when they move, I know. I don't even think he came up for water. And then, all of a sudden, now the funny thing is when they came up, they ate. And this thing like that first month after they up, they just really got really big all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's what she's doing now.
That's the most amazing. So what I say to people is, if had I known, because see, I like to engage with my animals. Had I known that tables could sleep so long, I may not have gotten them as pets. But because of how awesome they are, this year was easier because I just knew that they were going to live and they still would thrive. That first year, I'm telling you guys, if you get tables for the first time and you experience a real brumation, I don't think everybody get the same experience, but when your table is literally asleep for 7 months,
it's weird.
It's nerve-wracking. You talking about worrying about a ball python eating, your table is asleep and you don't see them because they literally bury themselves and you gotta
It's like having a damn empty enclosure down there that just is sitting there.
Yep. So let me take a minute. Let me look at some of the comments. 1 second. Cortafago, definitely hit that like button. FNA, Bosa. Yes, Jewels, 31 years. I know I look younger than I am. I'll just say you do the math. I got my very first ball python at 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah. So technically, let me say this. 18 is when I started to really keep as an adult. I bought a whole bunch of random animals in the house as a child.
Yep.
My family would tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, I was really stupid about snakes. I mean, I actually got into keeping them, 3-4 years ago, but I was the guy when we deployed to the desert. I didn't know which snake was what. I had no idea what I was chasing, but I'd chase them and catch them and bring them back to the guys and say, "Hey, man, look what I got." And everybody go run away, and I'd take him back, put him back down on the ground, and I got really lucky.
Funny for me because as a child, we grew up in a neighborhood near water and near woods. And we were in the woods every day. That's what you did. You woke up, you went in the woods, and I was not afraid to pick up anything. Now, like being an adult, I'm thinking, like, goodness, that could have been a copperhead. Like it's just so many things that you don't, fear factors you don't have as a child that you develop as an adult. But also, I didn't have all the education I have about reptiles now, and I had less fear as a child. It's just really odd how your mind thinks. But Bolsa said he always wanted prairie dogs.
I've got them in the next room. I'm half tempted to get up and go grab one real quick and just hang out. Let me do that real quick.
Yep, that's fine.
I'll go get him.
Let me just go through some of the comments while we are waiting for Tim to go get the prairie dogs. Hey, Mike. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't even see you come in. Hope you're still here. You know what? So goals. We have a decent sized house now, but I told my husband I definitely want to double this size if I ever get the opportunity in the next few years to purchase in Texas.
Okay. Let's see.
So there's one of the prairie dogs.
Yeah, he's not going to be out very long. They have got really sharp little claws on. And get in the camera. There you go.
How old is that one?
Man, I want to say about 2-3 years old.
Okay.
There we go.
And what made you get prairie dogs? Like, was it something that you loved as a child?
No, I used to work in a facility. There's a whole lot of reticulated pythons, like hundreds of them. And that's kind of my crash course in snake handling. So that's how I learned a lot of what I know now and what I talk about on my channel. But in that place, there was a couple prairie dogs, and he's not going to sit still all the time he's here, just so you know.
That is so cute.
Yeah, so I ended up there was a pair of them. What's that?
What do you feed the prairie dog? Like just
most of their diet's Timothy A.
Okay.
So they like that. They like Cheerios. They eat Cheerios and banana chips and stuff like that. But most of it's Timothy A.
Got you.
There, don't move, little tribble.
Okay, so
But so there was two of them in this reptile house, and they were
okay.
just in a bear cage. One of them died, and I managed to get the other one out of there. And he ended up living another year and a half or so with me. He
Okay.
did pretty good. He had hip problems. It looked like he had been attacked by something at some
Okay.
point. But he was in pretty bad shape, and so I got him, and of course started learning about him, and then started seeking out more because they're really social animals. And I
Right.
didn't want him being there by himself, so we found these two and picked this one up and the female that we keep him with.
So wait a minute. Early on, we started. You had a reticulated python out. Is he still out while the prairie dog is
Oh, he's
there?
in the box. Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that because, I did a video a couple weeks ago how people assume that reticulated pythons are so hunger crazed that they just trying to eat and grab everything. And I showed them, like even now when just like I said, right before we started the podcast, I had one of the retics out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing because I also used to think that when I first started owning reticulated pythons, it was actually when I went to Nerd that Kevin had broke it down to me. Like even though it's food all around them, and we went into the room and he had rats and rabbits everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was all of these retics, and he was like, go ahead, touch them. I'm like, I don't touch them when food is out. My husband told him, he said, she don't even let you have a hamburger when there's a retic out. He was like, Kevin, talk about they're not eating hamburgers. But it showed me then. And then when I came back home, I tested the theory, and he was absolutely right. Like, I literally can have rabbits sitting in front. If I turn off the food response, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell the people and talk to the people, because people think it's just me. I'm not a retic whisperer. There are plenty people out there who handle their reticulated pythons just like I do. And I'm going to say this. Tim actually handles them better. And let me tell you why, Tim. One of your videos I watched, now my reticulated pythons, for the most part, they are very calm like yours, very chill like yours.
Right.
You were at a friend's house and you were handling a retic that he just got.
Yeah.
When that retic bucked at you, because it wasn't my retic, I would have quit right there. See, I can do that with my retics because I still understand their body language.
Yeah.
Then when I just saw you just put more of your body in there, I'm like, oh yeah, he's the master. So
yeah.
What gives you that?
Let me put him back real quick.
Yeah, because
he's starting to yell at me.
I'll let you tell this story.
Be right back.
So guys, if you can see the retic, or he's on the other side. But just to talk about what I was saying, that they're reticulated pythons, they are not so food crazed that they don't think. They know that, okay, even though it's a big bunny right there, she turned off my food response. Okay. It's no need for me to try to eat her arm. So when people talk about that video that circulated a couple years ago that I don't share personally, right, because it's people share it and no one took the time to educate behind that. And because it was a reticulated python in that video, I'm very specific and particular about if you're going to share with the education. So there were some people who actually reached out to me, like people who, out of concern, isn't this the kind of snake that you have? Yes. And I went through and explained to people, number one, I don't care what, I have 8 reticulated pythons in here. If any of them come to me the way that snake did in that video, we already know what it is. It's not a love-hate thing. It's I'm eating thing. And somebody better tell me, Miss Lady, because there's a hook right over here, go grab it. And instantly, that's a whole nother video. Yeah. But what I do appreciate about, if the video could have been circulated with the correct content behind it, her love for that animal still existed through.
Well, Kevin did a really good analysis of that.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple people ask me to do it too, and I'm just like, I'm just staying away from any kind of bite videos and stuff like that. And I think there's been enough analysis done. Like I said, I'll refer people to Kevin's video because he did a really good job. I mean, he pointed out everything that was,
Right.
was relevant in there. So.
Right. And I think it's so important with anything. So as we talk about in this hobby, as you putting out any type of video, like I don't believe that people's content should be limited, but I do truly believe that we have to be conscious.
Mm.
And I am a fan of a lot of things that other people may not. I mean, I'm not a fan of a lot of things that other people may be a fan of, but I believe that if you do it in a way that is educational, it's necessary. But you got to make it educational, not, and I don't care who you are. I don't care if you, Joe Blow or Brian Barchak. I don't care who you are. You have a responsibility to the community to make sure that it's educational and not inhumane or for people who may be following us who already have a fear in their mind, showing them certain images do not help sustain the fear.
It's all the intent behind it. I mean, if you're doing it for attention, you take that same video where she got wrapped up that day. Right. If you're doing it for attention, you're going to get a lot of attention. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why people put out so many of these live feed videos and all this other stuff, because non-reptile keepers, people outside the community, eat that stuff up, And
I'll be honest, I think there are some live feedings that's necessary. So from an educational perspective, but again, for me, I share this that you don't see on my page me feeding reticulated python. I did one video to show you how I prep that food and how to safely approach them, but you do not see one video where you're seeing any of them devouring. And the only reason for that is that not because it's a natural thing. He eats rabbits, y'all. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Unfortunately, he eats rabbits. But I don't want the uneducated person to watch him eating a rabbit thinking, oh, that's monstrous. That's what they do. Because they don't associate it with the fact like we eat chicken, they eat rabbits. So that's the reason behind that. But I do honestly think it's very important not to censor everything, but we have to censor ourselves, And
I mean, I'll put feeding videos up just to show techniques, and some people like to see that. Thing I won't do is put any live feeding stuff out there because I've got a problem with unnecessary suffering. There's really no. I've said it before in a couple different videos that I put out. I understand some people live feed. Some animals can be really difficult to get to eat, but there's so many benefits to feeding frozen thawed over live, especially if you've got a lot of animals and you don't have room for a farm at your house. I mean, there's just so many benefits and health benefits and so forth to it. So so I'm just a really big proponent of frozen thawed.
But like I said, there's some reality behind it. Like, to be honest, if I have a ball python who doesn't eat a small rat, I can give it to my Asian water monitor. It's he's happy. It's the circle of life. But I don't need to show you that I'm taking it from here and giving it to there. It's not necessary for the hobby. Let me check the comments. We got Hey Keys, fam. And guys, it's a lot of comments today, and I apologize. So let me try to catch up with them real fast. Oh, Keys, one day when I leave Florida. So that's why I ended up not moving to North Carolina, where I always wanted to be, because it was right on the cuff of the ban.
And we got hit with it. So after August of this year, we've got to have a permit for our tegu.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It happened. We were going to come in 2020, so it was like right there, so we were too late for that. Kaju, thank you. This was a surprise gift today from my husband. He ordered it from somewhere while we were away at Tinley. And so he said, I want to put it up before your podcast. And so, I love it. So he thinks like that. He's an out-of-the-box thinker. As far as marketing and branding and things like that. I'm just, as Dre would say, old lady. I'm old lady with it, but he gives me my little pizzazz in the background. So
That's cool.
let's see.
Yeah, that background does look
Aloha,
really
thank
awesome.
you again for getting me through my workday. You are so very welcome. Aloha. I love getting people doing their through their workday. That's what I love about a lot of the podcasts. Like last night, I was listening to Keys because normally sometimes will get on the panel. If I don't get on the panel, it's because I'm doing a lot of cleaning or something with these animals. But it gets me through and it makes the time goes by so much faster. Everybody loves the Perry dog. Looks like the gopher from Caddyshack. That used to
Yeah.
be my movie. That must be T Keys telling his age. That's he's telling your age if you know Caddyshack.
And a really quick note on them prairie dogs too. They've got every study that I've seen done on it. They've got the most complex system of communication in the animal kingdom, shy of humans.
Oh,
Sure,
don't.
I mean, dolphins, monkeys, anything else. They've done a lot of studies on them, and they've got a really complex. Like they can differentiate between a person walking up with a blue shirt on and a person walking up with a red shirt on. Um, they can communicate that to each other. A big person, a small person. It's really neat, and to see them interact with each other is really awesome too.
Wow. So let's talk about your passion for USR. Okay, so there's those of us who, we tell people, go ahead, sign up for USR. You
Right.
go into depth, not to explain just the reason why. You talk about the history of USR. Um, One of the things that you said on one of your videos that was very touching to me, as of that, is that you did not fight for us to have our rights taken away. And I think when we talk about a free country, definitely that is the perspective that we have to take with that. But yes, there's some responsibility. But as a reptile owner, what would you say to convince because a lot of the younger generation don't know about USR or understand the impact. So can you just share your
Right.
thoughts on that?
Um, we've got. I'm going to try and keep it really brief and kind of concise, and not go off on a political soapbox here because I've got a lot of things that I could say
It's
that aren't
okay. I
that
mean,
aren't very
be
complimentary about
passionate.
this about the way we do things anymore. But USARK is just it's an instrument, and it's just like a lot of other instruments that we have at our disposal. Um, the only way democracy represents us is if we're educated. And democracy stands on an educated electorate. If the people that vote don't know what they're voting for, then they don't know what's going to happen. You can't do the right thing if you don't know the details. Uh,
Right.
and that's a problem that we run into in a reptile community because there's so many people. Just like after Raleigh, when the Cobra got loose out there, and then they started doing uh, all the town council meetings and commission meetings and so forth, wanting to initiate all these new reptile bans, things like that. These people are sitting there in elected positions, no idea what they're talking about. They don't know anything about reptiles. They don't know anything about keeping. They don't know anything about the different species. They don't know anything about what can survive natively where and what can't. And these people are making laws about it. And if we don't have responsible people around to watch these people that are making laws on topics that they're completely ignorant about, I mean, they're going to steamroll us. I mean, that's how people get elected. You got to get the next good idea, and you get everybody on board with it, and
Right. I
you
say
know,
God save us all from going to prison. Because could you imagine if you said
yeah,
you
I'd be
got to
hard.
get rid of all of your animals? I mean, think about that. First of all, the commitment. If we all calculate the number of animals, I know I got a whole lot of ball python
All right.
breeders in here right now. If you just add up one rack of some of the stuff I see
Mm-hmm.
that you guys own, you're asking someone to like literally throw They're worth
hundreds of
it.
thousands of dollars and complete
Yeah.
businesses supporting their families, And I mean, that's why I'm so adamant about everybody getting into USARK, because Phil Goss and those guys do an awesome job of catching this legislation and catching these bad laws, um, and then representing us on. We can't win everything, but I guarantee you, if it wasn't for USARK, there would be a lot of bands that have already went through that nobody would have caught, that nobody even would know exists until they get some overzealous fish and wildlife guy that calls them on it, because they don't advertise the stuff. If we don't find it, the laws are going to pass whether we know about them or not.
Whether we know about them or not,
Yeah.
absolutely. And so that's for me. And then Jewel's, I'm gonna go to Jewel's question because that's a good question. Um, for me, I say, first of all, yes, they are the eyes and ears when we can't be there. When we at our work, our regular jobs, 8 hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
home being, mommy, daddy, husband, wife, whatever you do on your when you're off from work, they're our eyes and ears. So they're our protection. They are
Right.
our 9 millimeter on a hip. So I think that is a big thing. And the other part is that I think of it as prepaid legal. So I don't know if any of y'all had prepaid
I
legal.
used to,
I
I
do.
used to
I
work for
always
them.
did. That little $27 a month, I've had it for years. I never
Yeah.
had to use it, but just in case.
I actually
I get
made it
all
into one of their
the
magazines.
information in Freeman.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
So I said, if nothing else, think of it as prepaid legal. And even better than prepaid legal don't do researches to protect me from getting into legal harm. They don't say, hey, Nicole, your driver's license about to expire. Did you renew it? They don't do stuff like that. I feel like USARK is always looking out for our best interest for the
Yeah.
animals. And
And
first
it's
of all,
really
shout out
cool.
to
They got
Phil.
their YouTube channel now.
Exactly. And they have that YouTube channel now, which is big for Phil Goss. So for the younger generation, Phil is not a big camera person. Like even to get him to take a picture is like, oh Lord, you want me to take a picture?
Yeah.
So for him first of all, the poor man is attacked so much for all the hard work that he does that I would have said to the reptile community a long time ago, screw y'all, because we could never pay him enough. If the financial statement of USARK is public to everybody who's a member, and maybe I don't know about on regular online, but I know if you are a member, you can see the
Right.
financial statement. And what he has to do in reading all of the legislation and all of that, guys, if you're anything like me and you have a job that takes a lot of analytical and administrative reading and comprehending, that's a lot in his own. It's exhausting
Yeah.
because you have to go through legal jargon, and he's not an attorney himself. So just the appreciation for that platform, it's
Yeah.
everything. So I just wanted to make sure that we discussed the importance of USARK. You will
Yeah.
always hear me discuss that throughout my regular YouTube videos. There are, I try not to just constantly drill it to people, but I definitely have to make
Right.
sure that it stay conscious out there on our minds. So
Yeah, and I mean, even with people that disagree with it, man, I mean, that's what we've got.
yep,
We don't have anything else as reptile keepers. And USARK is what we got.
that's it.
So, if you don't support them and you keep reptiles and you're interested in the topics and so forth, then I would suggest writing down the reasons why you don't support them. Offer suggestions to improve it. That's what we do. Everybody puts everything together, and that's for all of us. This isn't just like for one person. So, I mean, USARK is all encompassing. So, if
Exactly.
you've got a problem with something, be professional, just like you would talking to any other state representative or anything. Be professional, polite. This is my problem. This is how I think we can do it better. And just work to make everything better instead of splitting the community like that. You know.
Exactly. And so again, one of the things I was saying, one of the things I love about TT's and his wife, on Hair Down Fridays, it's a group of breeders, keepers, reptile lovers of all nations and nationalities and from all over the world. And we get to share our knowledge, our passion. We laugh, and literally it starts at 7 and and goes until, as I say, you can go to sleep and wake back up and it can still be going on because different at different times.
Nice.
But it's a good place to be on a Friday night if you're not a person who hang out, on a Friday and you just want to be with your reptile family. I learned so much on Friday nights, on Hair Down Fridays, being a new breeder. Because for if you don't know, Tim, I didn't always breed ball pythons. I was always just a hobbyist, and this was a new turn for me in this last year. This new transition for me in this last year. So there's so many people, male and female, who have been doing it for a long time, and they are really, really engaged in getting us educated. And I love that part of the hobby. So, Jewels had a question. Are any of your snakes target trained?
I know my snakes are target autistic.
So yeah, same thing for me. So
mine have just went right by food and plugged into me a couple times if I've gotten too close to them. So I don't think they work the same way a lizard does as far as target training them. They're built a little bit differently.
And it's not necessary. They're very, like I said, they're very intelligent. Like, I have the older ones, they pretty much even have a different feed response depending on what side of the cage I'm opening. So if I open the side I normally feed them from, they'll instantly have a feed response that I might have to turn off. But if I open up the side that I normally don't feed them from, typically they move totally different. They'll come.
I seen that episode you put out about that. I'd never thought about that, but I mean, it seems like it works. Helps them to
it definitely
associate
works. It's totally different. If I pull that side, then they'll kind of like scoot over, still curious, but not like when I open the feed side and they just instantly go like this, and you have to hook them from that side. So, so it's not target training. I work with their brain because they are so intelligent, and so when people always ask me, why do I love the reticulated python so much? It's literally like having little babies that you are growing up to be responsible little adults.
Stubborn, responsible little adults.
So I have, for example, from the time they are this big, because they never this big, but the time they are this big, I have taught them, trained them to come out and go in on their own so I don't have to lift.
Yeah.
A 80, 100-pound snake. And so it's a little easier for me. So I hear people different perspectives, because I know you get it sometimes too, probably as comments on some of your YouTube pages where people will, say like, be careful, it's an apex predator. I know all of that, right?
Yeah.
It's just like children.
Mm-hmm.
If you raise them up to do certain things, they might try other people in the world. They won't try you. Like, I won't try my mother to this day. My mother will come right now. If I text her some nasty message like these kids try, and y'all see my whole head disappear from this podcast. Okay? So that's how I think of retakes. They respect you. If you're good to them, they have really good memories. So don't do things like, one of the things that I never planned to do is, if I ever had gotten bitten by one of my retakes, if it ever had happened, I was never going to spray them with alcohol. I was going to use the cold water method, because something tells me a baby retic will remember her and alcohol in a not so good memory compared to water.
Yeah, babies, they can just kind of dangle off until they get bored and let go. I mean, that's what they do. I mean, that's what babies do.
Exactly. Or most of the time, well, like the one time I did get bit, she literally, like I said, it was my fault. I accidentally hit, my son was holding her and I hit her face. And she just out of reaction. But she let go right away and drew back like, oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't no, coming back at me or anything. It was just like, oh, sorry, I accidentally did it. But that's their only mechanism.
I've used Listerine before. I had a 16-footer get a hold of me right on the wrist, instantly wrapped my arm all the way around my neck and shoulders and all that stuff. So yeah, I was spraying the hell out of the Listerine on that one.
So this says, Brenda. So I'm seeing people in the chat. If you're here for the first time, make sure that you have like, share, and subscribe. Not just subscribe to Lady T's Exotics, but please subscribe to Intrepid Exotics. And anybody else in the chat, feel free to share your links in the chat so others can subscribe to you as well. As a community, we all have something to provide to different people. But Brandon Store said that they say once your snake reaches 16 feet or more, basically have a real life dinosaur in your house. Is that true? I think the strength of them at 8 feet is, amazing. But again, it's the relationship. So right now, I don't have a 16-footer yet, but I have a 14-footer. And I actually think she's easier to manage now than when she was 4 feet. Like, I understand her better. So at 4 feet, she would do certain things. I'm like, if I went to go touch her back and she would turn around and give me that eye, sometimes they don't really move. I would be like, okay. But now I understand that that's not a bad thing. Like, that's something she might do first to kind of wake herself up. She'll pause and then she'll scoop to me. So now that I've been with her so long, I just know her body language so much better.
Yeah.
Tim, you have really good ones too.
Yeah, the mine have done really good. My male, I actually, when I got him, he was really, really reactive. He bounced his face off the glass constantly. You couldn't get close to the cage half the time without him just perking up, and as soon as you touch it, he's striking at it. And after a couple months of working with him, he mellowed out, calmed down a lot, things like that. So they will if you work with them.
Got you. Just checking some of the comments. Right, love the sign and the color. Yeah, Keys, that was your bro. That was his idea. I love it. I was going to say, I was telling my age with that movie, Nicole. Yes, when you said Caddyshack, I grew up on Caddyshack. So Cortefago said, yeah, I think owning a reptile and a bronze subscription to USARK should be hand in hand. I honestly wouldn't mind a reptile fee that included the price of that membership. I totally agree as well, Cortefago. I totally agree. I'm here to rep the bull crew. I'm team boa too, Cortefago. I got some boas too.
Let Monty out for a minute. Had to hit myself with a Listerine to get the prairie dog smell.
Yes. Got to have him.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Gershon.
Come on, Greedy. What are you doing? You waking up?
Yes. Hi there, baby.
Come on, girl. When I got her, gosh, she was just such a baby.
How long is that one? That one has to be about.
She's a 14-footer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
she's 14
also, retics are not supposed to be obese. Right. So even though they're big, you can see that's a nice muscular snake.
If you look, you can see the wrong side, the striations, like right up on here when she tenses up. And she's just a little bit thick. I've kind of backed her off, spread her meals out about a week or so further. But because she's kind of slowed down.
She would be she's a normal tiger, right?
Yeah, she's just a Molly mainland. Yeah.
But see, I also think they have some of the best base patterns. Like, you can put different things to it, but it's just like the normal berm to me. The normal berm. So I got the pearl first. My son got the normal. That normal berm is so much more beautiful. Watching this thing grow is just amazing compared to the pearl.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait until my little female Burmese. She's a normal. My male's an albino, but I really, really like the color pattern on the normal. So.
Yes. Yeah, but
Come on, girl.
So where did you get that one from?
Somebody was adopting it out. I think they had gotten her and not knowing what they were getting into. She was only about maybe 4 or 5 feet long when I got her, and they had her in a little 40-gallon aquarium. And
so I know some of the usual suspects are in the chat. So guys, when I tell you when they ask the question when we on the chat and they say what's the difference between a berm and a retic, I always tell them, Tim, the berm comes to the party with wine. The retic comes to the party on Coke. There are no
A lot to be said for that.
They comfortable. They are everything. They're curious about everything, and this is what you have to constantly do. You have to constantly try to, unless you put them on the floor, let them go. You have to constantly keep them with you because they're not just going to sit there like even my big berm will stay here. And you guys seen that? If I can do a video with the berm, I could never do this podcast with the reticulated python.
Yeah, it's not easy to do.
Yeah, first of all, they're going to knock everything over.
She is really determined to get down. She's really wanting to get into the desk there.
Hey, Spicy.
What are you doing?
Let's see.
Trying to get her to go after the camera there for a second, but she's not.
Hey, Aunt Betty. Okay, let's see what we got. Mike said, "Wow, she's beautiful." Yeah, he has some beautiful retics too, Mike, and they're well-mannered retics. So again, what made me fall in love with your channel was it's very rare that I get to see people who want to show them as I don't want to say puppy dogs, but just the very calm animals that they are. They really are. If you spend time with them, you can have the best rewarding experience of owning a reticulated python. Yeah, they really. I mean, now when I was working at that facility where there was hundreds of them, and they weren't pets, they were breeding, and you get some that get really difficult, like that one in that video, the one that my buddy of mine had. I used to have to manage 16, 18-foot snakes like that were scared. That snake wasn't really scared. Once she got out, she was really energetic and wanted to get out and start running and stuff. But I mean, you get a 16-foot retic that's genuinely scared because it's not been socialized and things like that. Yep.
As soon as you get them out, they're turning around, they're trying to bite you, trying to get away from you and things like that. And that gets really tricky really quick.
Yeah, that socialization starts on day one. So that's the benefit that I have. Like, I have more respect for people who can take an untamed retic that they didn't have from birth.
Yeah.
And tame them down, opposed to me getting them at 3 or 4 months old. I'm really all they know.
Right.
But to be able to take in somebody else's, and people have asked me, like, would you take in the retic? No, I'm not doing that. Like, I know, when I tell you I know my reticulated pythons, I know them. I know them if they stay still and only move eyeball. I know what they're about to do next.
Mm-hmm.
When you have somebody else's, you don't know what trauma that snake might have been through when they were younger. Mm-hmm. So when you take it in, you're taking more of a risk than raising it from a baby. But to be able to take a reticulated python that is, especially ones that have been abused or not really, and when I say abused, not handling a reticulated python, putting them in a cage and not handling them, not letting them out, not letting them get exercise is abuse. I don't care what nobody say. These snakes must get out for exercise almost daily. And if you can't do it daily, like I said, sometimes you might be on vacation or something. You come back. When I take them out, and as long as the house temp, the ambient temp is at least 80, because a reticulated python is good at 75.
Right.
I tell people that all the time. They don't want heat. They fat people. They don't want heat. They want a fan.
Yeah.
And an AC. So if the house is at 75, 80, I let them stay on as long as they want to, and they'll let you know when they are done exercising.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really a double-edged sword trying to make videos about these guys, because on one side of the coin, I want to show them, this is what they're like. This is what they can be like. This is why you don't make them illegal, because they can be perfectly safe. But on the other side of that coin, if you have somebody that doesn't know how to manage them and they don't treat them right, then, you're going to end up with a big, angry, like you say, apex predator that doesn't want anything to do with you. And they're going to be really difficult to handle, even for a skilled handler. So it's it's hard to, I don't know, you put out both sides of it, This is how easy they are and this is how much fun they can be. But if you're not smart about it, this is how bad it can be.
So, and just guys too, I want y'all to look at Tim right now. So when people think that you can't control a heavy snake, you can. If you saw what Tim did, the snake naturally is going to hold on. So it's not trying to choke anybody. Just like your boa, because if people who own boas, boas don't like to feel like they falling. You'll get bit letting the boa think they're about to fall. So you have to give them that security. Retics are the same. So what they'll do sometimes as they venture forward is they'll hold on. So they have to tense their muscle. It's not trying to harm you. If you take your hand and put it right there, the snake goes on about its business. I find it's easier for me to move my reticulated python than it is for me to get my boas off of something. Once my boas grab that tail on something, that's if they're committed. You want to be waiting.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, the biggest wrestling match I ever had. This is my small retic. My male retic's significantly bigger than her, and I've got a tree out in the backyard that I'd let him get on. I turned around for 3-4 seconds, and he shot like 10, 12 feet up that tree.
Thanks, Q. The husband surprised me with this, so I love it. I love it too. And look, wait a minute, hold on. Let me show y'all. Let me get jiggy with it. Let me see if I don't mess it up. You can change the modes, so I can make it flash.
Oh, cool.
I can change the color if I want.
Need to turn it down just a little bit if you can.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see.
It washes out a little bit. It's a little bit bright.
See. Is that turning it down? Oh, wait a minute. The weird thing is that this actually moved the LED lights in one of my retics. That shouldn't be doing that. All right, let's see if I go 40%. Oh, yeah, there you go. That's the easiest.
Much better. There you go.
Yeah.
Now you can read it. That's awesome.
Little remote. Now I gotta figure out how to get my poor baby's light from flashing over here. And she's in shed, so he's in shed, so he probably don't even notice anyway. All right. So let's see. Yami said sweet. Thank you. Hello, Denton Gallagher. How are you? What's up? Thank you for joining us. All right, so let's talk about your YouTube channel real fast.
All right.
You just started that channel.
October was my first upload.
I remember I probably was one of your first 100
subscribers. You were.
And then you went from 100 to like 1K in a blink of an eye. What drove that? What content did you think drove that big rush of subscribers for you?
And as soon as I figure that out, I'll tell you. Because I'm trying. I want to get up to 10 grand now. I want to get up to 10,000 subscribers because I've been working on a website and a merch store and all that stuff. And as I start putting all these little things together right now that aren't pushing any revenue into the channel, I'm trying to project out a little bit and see how I can keep things simple. And the simplest way to do it is to get up to 10,000 subs on YouTube and then have the merch thing right up there run right through YouTube. You can't do that until you get up to 10,000. So I may end up holding off on, t-shirts and coffee cups and all that stuff until I get up there. But it's a constant challenge trying to figure out what it is that actually sparks,
yeah, because it was
stuff like that.
Again, like when I saw your channel, I instantly hit like, so I get what someone sees initially, but I also noticed from then to now you definitely upgraded your production. But when you look at the content, I think the content it's pretty steady as far as what the content is. Now it broadened into like, I didn't know you had all those different animals and prairie dogs and everything.
Right.
But you having a consistent rise. And I would be curious to see, like, if you ever look at the analytics to see what content that actually drives. So for me, I'll give an example. When I had a big push, it was when I posted the video on reticulated python handling.
All right.
Now, mind you, I have all these other reticulated python videos.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like people literally wanted to see what was going to happen when they clicked on that video.
Yeah.
And that's not what I want you to drive you there for, right?
Right.
I want you to drive you through some of the other more important videos. For example, why you shouldn't have your animal loose driving with you in a car. You know, I think that one was a more important video than the reticulated python handling one.
Right. Well, I know the biggest jump that I had on my channel that I got a few hundred subscribers off, or a couple hundred subscribers off of, was when Keenan had all of his animals stolen.
Yeah.
And I put that video out, just kind of driving awareness to that and things like that, and then talking about securing our animals. That one it got like 7,000 views or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was really quick, and got a lot of attention, got a lot of subscribers on the channel and so forth. But that's just one of those things. YouTube is so fickle, because you can spend a whole day, putting together the contents, and they're editing everything out and things like that. And you get some 18-year-old girl who's going to get on there and dance for 15 seconds very badly with the worst white girl dance you ever seen. And there's 15 million views on it in a half hour. So,
yeah. And then that's the crazy thing, because for me, I was not expecting the response. And that was also the video that I think I got the most Instagram inboxes about. And I was like, that's not my best video. But something that Gershon said, it's about what the audience want, not what you think is your best video. So what I've been trying to do is definitely put out a little bit more about the reticulated python. Not necessarily just handling, but smart ways to raise them and engage with them.
Right.
And I think another one that it seems, so what I did was I got the advice to Google reticulated python and see what people are searching for.
Right.
Google rat breeding and see what people are searching for. And using that thought process, it has worked for the last couple of videos that I've done. So I'm curious to see how that trend continues to go. But I also think that a lot of the transition I see is important. And Q actually had said this to me one time, the importance of the lighting, the what camera you're using, and the production, that makes a difference as well. Because some of the other channels that I really like I really like Python Spawn. And Tisha's actually going to be on my channel in June, I believe. Okay. But her intro and her outro, it's simple, but it's fire, literally fire. And I love your intro. It's like watching National Geographic come on.
That was the goal.
And you did that all by yourself. No branding company, no nothing.
No, I did that on After Effects. Adobe After Effects.
I mean, it's really, really it feels like the intro to National Geographic or something like that. And that's what I love. So those are goals for me. I do a little bit more. I take everybody. I have a lot of people in my corner who give me, free education. I like free education. And I put it to play. If you ever took me to school on something, you will see me take the notes and come back and put it to play. So I really follow a lot of feedback that Antoine gave me from Dre from DW Exotics, and Antoine from High Desert. Gershon gave me a lot of jewels before his show, he literally drop jewels before you actually do the show with him, and it was all about what he thought I had to do to enhance my YouTube presentation. And Gershon would tell you that I've done everything he told me thus far, even improving my thumbnail. So I've been putting in a lot of extra effort into that. But I say that to anybody who deposit anything to me, as like I say, for anything that I don't know anything about, I appreciate it. There's so many people like yourself, your channels, for you to go into depth on each animal. Like I don't have a lot of videos I feel that goes into depth about the green tree python because I'm too busy worried about making sure that I don't piss it off and it bites me. You right? You're
Right.
so calm. Here's the green tree python, and you give the whole background on it, how the husbandry while holding the green tree python.
I
So
was
you
really
had to
pleasantly
inspire
surprised
me.
with him.
I don't know if you noticed, I actually did a video with a little bit of the green tree python in it. My next video, though, I am going to be literally, because I have to do his enclosure, clean it out this week anyway. I'm going to let everybody see that I do hold him. I'm just normally very cautious when I do it. I'm going to put it on video.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I do remember seeing you unboxing him now. It wasn't too long after I got this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
because you said it to me. You said, you got to do more with the green tree. I said, well, let me do a little something. But I'm going to do one to show, because just like the retics, I think it's important to show that you can actually not, for the health of them, it's not good to hold them a lot. But they can be handable. And mine is.
yeah.
It's not the animal it was that I got. It's very handable once it takes that one strike. When I first go in there, he got a strike once. And after that one strike, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like the last video I put out was arboreals. Yeah, so I had my jungle carpet python out and then had the green tree python out for a little while. And they just I think they get such a bad reputation because if you think about it, like a Burmese, it'll lay in the ground, not moving, and prey will just kind of walk up nice and slow and so forth. And
Uh-huh.
they've got time to register. They've got time to think about it. If you're sitting up in a tree and you're waiting for a bird, that bird's in the air flying, 10 times as fast. And, they've got to react a whole lot quicker. So I think if you just kind of keep that in the back, because I know when I go over there and I open up his door, his head just automatically just pops around and he's ready to hit me. So I just got to kind of sit back and go, okay, to me, hi,
Yeah. So
give
I
him
think
time to register.
when we blacked out the size of his enclosure, because his PVC is being built, because I wanted a PVC for him. I wanted with the built-in purchase and like the built-in reservoir. Cryptic Creations is doing it. So until that, I blacked out the sides of his enclosure, and he became so much more calmer. Now
Yeah.
I know that's a recommendation for a lot of snakes, but I never had to do that with any other snake. But with that one, it was like magic.
Yeah.
It was magic.
Yeah. This
You
one's
said that
awake.
makes sense.
I think
Yeah.
he's awake. I can go grab him real quick.
Yeah, sure. Go get him. Look, he's sitting there nice and calm. See, mine would have struck already, y'all. As soon as I open the door, he got to get his one strike in. Q, I don't know if you saw the prairie dogs, but Tim had the prairie dogs out earlier.
Oh.
And ooh,
Yeah.
actually, it's bigger than it looks.
Well, he's really close to the camera. I just don't want to get my hand too close to his head, but.
So I like the pet. Look up now. I'm up.
Uh-huh.
Is it his
He,
shed?
he gets, no, that's his, he's got white
Okay.
eyes. He's got them really silvery eyes.
Yeah, because
So,
mine's eyes change too, depending on what time. I don't
yeah,
know, but if
not
like
going to focus.
sometimes his eyes look like a whole ball, sometimes they look small. It just
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been 2 days ago since he's
see
eaten.
everybody put your eyes on Tim. See how that green tree python turned around? I would have immediately put that stick in the air if that was mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, they just paying attention to him and I'm letting him go off camera. But I mean, they naturally move, so much quicker than a lot of
Yes,
other snakes. They can be unnerving.
right, Key. He's up, but he's still good. Mine
Yeah.
would have probably had to like get a little defensive at that moment, but he just turned around and Tim didn't back his face up like I would have.
He does really good. He's not too terribly happy. He's hissed at me once. I know you probably couldn't hear it, but he's not too happy about being woken up right now.
Oh, now did you build his enclosure or you
No,
actually got some? Okay,
no.
yeah, I was going to say that looks like what you get that one from? sea serpents or something like that?
No, it's actually the guy that adopted out the snake had
Oh,
it. So I don't know who the manufacturer is
okay.
or anything. There you go, buddy.
Oh, that was nice. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I just love how he's like a regular old snake. He's not
Mhm.
defensive at all. I mean,
Mhm.
so let me say that mine's probably that way too. But when he makes certain movements, he still punks me. Okay.
Yeah.
And my husband always say, I don't understand. You got those great big old snakes in there. You're not afraid of them, but you afraid. Yes, that was faster.
My man, my female ball python makes me jump every time I open her enclosure. I wouldn't feel the least bit bad. I've been bitten and wrapped by giant snakes, but I open that little ball python enclosure and that little head pop, I still jump back. And it was really funny because when I first got my mail, the first time he came out at me, my roomie was in the room with me at the time.
That is so funny.
She'd known me about 5-6 years, and she was like, "That's the first time I ever heard you squeal like a girl."
And it was a ball python.
No, this was my male retic.
Oh,
That when I first got him,
okay.
he was a handful when I first got him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was not too happy about being around.
Yeah, so guys, you'll see my video coming soon. It won't be as calm as Tim is with
Oh,
his.
sure it will.
Mine still will be about right here on the perch. But yeah, they're beautiful animals though. Definitely beautiful animals. And I love watching them when they get active at night. So when again I got
Yeah,
cameras and everything. It's so cool to see what they do at night. Like they develop a whole different personality at night.
yeah. It's so funny because when I come in here and I turn the light on in the middle of the night for something, and he's just out there all sprawled out. Lights come on, and he's got the hand in the cookie jar. Look at his face like, you ain't supposed to see me like this.
He fooled me. He fooled me. That is too funny.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, anybody have any questions for Tim in the chat? Please drop them down below so we can get your questions covered. Again, please follow him on YouTube, Intrepid Exotics. He's also on Instagram, Intrepid Exotics.
I don't pay a whole lot of attention to my Instagram.
Okay.
So if anybody gets a hold of me on there, I probably only check it maybe once a month. Trying to keep everything inherent to YouTube, so we'll see how that works.
So he definitely has an amazing YouTube channel. Tim's channel is also one of the channels that if I was talking to a parent who has some reservations about getting certain animals for their children, that it was a good place to take the parent and the child to view a lot of his content, to pretty much educate the patience that you have in the education process of each animal that you own, animals in general, the importance of treating them well and being good to them is absolutely phenomenal. I learn something every time I watch one of your videos. I get disappointed sometimes because for whatever reason I don't always see. I'm not the first to see them pop up sometimes, but I think what you're doing. Sometimes you just did a live one the other day, right? But it was a
I've started to do previews now, so
got you.
Yeah, so I'll do a live preview where the video will be previewed. It won't actually be live, but it'll have a live chat up there.
Got
So
you.
I'm gonna start trying to do that more often because that way when the videos first come out, you can get in there and actually engage with folks right off the bat.
Right. Thanks, Mike. I knew it would be a great show. This man is amazing. Just an amazing person, amazing
Entirely too
character.
nice.
You are like you just so humble and just great to a great person in the hobby. It's a lot of people that are great in the hobby. What I love about my YouTube experience, especially going into the part of doing these podcasts and making myself a little bit more visible this year because that was a hard part for me.
Yeah.
It's hard to like my Facebook page is for personal friends, people that I knew for years. Either you went to school with me, I grew up with you, you were family. And the last year I had to open it up to, grow my channel and things to people who are quote people I don't know. And that was really hard for me. So I do say that during that process, though, I'm glad that it's been more positive than unfavorable
Right.
of an experience. And I've met some amazing people I truly call family, people that I truly look forward to talking to every single day and reaching out to. So that's one of the unique things about our community. And one of the things that the Tilly experience showed me was that not only are we a huge and massive community, but the brilliance behind the talented people within this community and what life-changing experiences that you can have, whether you on the
Yeah.
breeding side, the tuber side,
Yeah.
if you're on the keeping side, it's out of this world. And that just alone, people don't realize how amazing this community is.
I mean, Snake Discovery is a perfect example of that. I remember watching her when she was, filming in her kitchen and all that stuff, and she just does such a good job. And she's such an awesome educator. She's so personable
Oh,
and likable and
thank
all that,
you.
that her stuff just took off. And now they've got a whole zoo up there.
And that truly was your first message to me. I received a lot of in this year, and I shared this recently on another podcast. Going from being a person who, yes, I do social media. That's not what I'm saying, but making yourself a public figure and seeing how people react, because I'm me. I'm my
Right.
authentic self. I don't change anything on here. The only thing I try not to do is to expose anything that is not a good representation of my brand. Or I keep in mind too that I have a full-time job, and I don't want to do anything or present anything that interferes with my reputation there. Everybody at work knows I love reptiles, but I still want the vision of myself to be a fun-loving professional.
Mm.
Everybody at work knows it's a party. She's going to turn the dance floor up. That's not going to stop nobody. If they see me on here, just gone. I try to be the same person all the time, though, regardless of who the audience is. Enough that it's not a big variation of who I am all the way.
Right.
So you guys get a little bit more, of course, than the people at work do. But the people that I'm close to at work, they're watching this podcast. They are very much in my life, my reptile life. My employees are my biggest supporters to my reptile life brand. My Christmas gift from them was a box of nothing but everything that they had created for me that was Lady Tiz Exotic. So it's
Yeah.
so great to be so pure of yourself that your work life and your hobby life, or your, in this case, my second business, can come together and still be respected as one. So I love that, to have that freedom in doing what I do.
Yeah, it's
But
really
I
cool.
love meeting people like yourself and others that's in the comments. And I just thank you for being here. And I thank everyone who came through. Really, really live show. I knew the chat would be jumping. I knew that it would be a great show, but I appreciate you guys coming in. And some of y'all who check in with me at 1:00 p.m. every Saturday. And even if I have to flip the time to accommodate a guest, you guys follow me to that time. That's the love and the support that I wanted. And I thank you. Feel free at the end of this podcast to share this on your pages. I definitely want to share the brand of Intrepid Exotics out there to the world as well. And follow. Tim, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll have to do this
Having
again
an
sometime
amazing
soon.
day. Wait a minute, hold on. Joelle said, I have one more question, and we're going to stop for that question. Tim, what's your opinion on owning a venomous snake? Do you have one? Oh, that's a good question.
Technically, I've got one. I got a hog nose.
Right. Technically, a hog nose is venomous.
Look, this is my personal opinion on me having a venomous snake. Is you're talking to a guy that used to neutralize explosive devices in combat for a living. So I don't know that I'm smart enough to have enough fear of a venomous snake.
Yeah,
I
you have to
always,
get
I
special.
always, I always want to push the limits of what you can do, and I don't know if I trust myself with like a king cobra or something. because I think I would sooner or later. I think I would get too comfortable with it and make a mistake, and that's something that you can't make a mistake with. And I just don't think it's worth the risk for me personally. Now I
Right.
know some people out there that are consummate professionals and have got them and need to have them. If for no other reason for conservation purposes, and study and things like that. So I've got nothing against keeping venomous snakes, but me,
And that's my take. My take is it's not for everybody. I don't think it should be promoted in a way that is willy nilly. Just like I don't feel that way about reticulated pythons. That's why I'm
right.
not feeding reticulated pythons. I'm breeding ball pythons.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say the people that I think are very responsible and great keepers that I follow, it is wonderful to watch.
Yeah.
But with those people, you hear them say over and over again two things that I'm not cut out for. One, they understand that any day life can be over. Even with my reticulated pythons, I try to be so kind to them so they can be so kind to me.
Yeah.
And number two, you have to have a specific laser focus and calmness and reserve so the snake can have an experience with you that you both find a common bond.
Mm-hmm.
The moment a king cobra hoods up to me, I'm already dead. I died with the hood. It don't have to bite me. Seriously, I'm dead. So
Yeah.
people like me who have that sense of fear, it would never work for. I don't have that with the animals I have now. My Asian water monitor, Q would tell you the day that I got it, it was my first Asian water monitor straight out the box. He came right up at my shoulder and, that's it. I'm not afraid. But if a king cobra came out the box, even if I bought it,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't be good for me or the snake. So I think it's great for people who do it responsibly.
Yeah.
Those who educate responsible keeping, I think it's great. And I think that king cobras and gaboon vipers, just like every other animal, deserves
Yeah.
conservation. So those people are conserving those animals, just like I feel I want these particular 8 retics. So if for whatever reason we can't keep them 10 years from now, I have these particular 8. That's
Yep.
conservation. That's a good thought process. And then down the line, if I say, okay, I want to breed them just to conserve them, and maybe I'm rich down the line and I can have a whole facility where I can have more reticulated pythons, my vision may change. But responsibility says that this house, I'm sure, only got but so much weight load of 8-footers that it can hold, along with everything else
Yeah.
we got going in here. Might not be the wisest decision, a responsible decision. So I kudos to those who own venomous.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah. Like I said, I've got nothing at all against owning them. I think you've got a bucket about this big that you get issued when you're born, and it's full of luck. And some of us burn through that bucket quicker than others. I think I've burned through most of the luck in my bucket, so I'm gonna.
Right. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to keeping anything, that as long as you're responsible, you can provide yourself the safety and the education that allows yourself and the animal to thrive, and you can give the best home life. And when I say that, Tom Crutchfield posted something the other day, and a lot of people was upset about it. And I don't agree with everything that he says, but as a reticulated python owner, when he talks about these animals that deserve more than an 8-foot cage, they do. We keep them in 8-footers. They do. But that is why I truly believe that if you're going to have them in an 8-footer, they should get daily exercise. And I'm not talking about 10 or 15 minutes of scrolling in your arm. I'm talking about being able to stretch out, hang up high, go to the other room, crawl over a sofa. And you'll know when a reticulated python is done with the exercise. They'll get the breathing heavy and find a little fat butts next to their enclosure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I had Monty out to a Reptile show out here in Greensboro not too long ago. And she went crazy for about 30 minutes, and then she finally just curled up, set her head on my shoulder, and went to sleep and walked around the rest of the day with me like that. So
Yeah, we took them out last year for the first time down to the National Harbor here, and I was amazed. Number one, at how good they were with all of the, noise and attention
Yeah.
going on. Like they are. I
Mhm.
thought they would be a little unnerved. They were really calm. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's that they just, capturing all of the stuff that's going on,
I
but
think it's that they really attach to us. And the first thing that really made me think that is last summer I had my male retic out in the backyard,
mhm.
and it was just me and him, and he's out running around. He'd always try and take off the other side of the yard, and I'd chase him and all of that. The neighbors came over to see him, and as soon as the neighbors started to walk up, he literally crawled up me like a tree and wrapped all the way around. You know, and I attribute that to the fact that he's seen something else and he was uneasy by it, and I'm like a sense of security. So he, you know,
Yeah,
just flew up and crawled up, and so they're a lot smarter than a lot of people give them credit for.
they are way smarter. Hey, Jeremy. Let's see, Q. We have some people coming in. Q said, I agree. I always compare the minimum requirements of keeping all snakes as the same as keeping a person in a jail cell. Yep, no shade, but that's my views. It's humane technically, but should have more. That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Well,
Absolutely.
too, it's really important to get them out and exercise them. But if you look at snakes, when you put them in larger enclosures, they'll get out and exercise sometimes. They'll also sit in one spot of their
Yep.
own volition for weeks at a time,
Yep.
and just not utilize any of that space at all. I mean, when you see them out in the wild, if you see them running around, they're either regulating their body temperature, they're looking for something to eat, they're trying to breed, or they're tucked in a hole someplace where nothing's going to eat them.
Yep.
And those holes are a lot smaller than the enclosures that we give them. So, um,
Well, even like now, and I know you probably noticed, like normally about 7 to 10 days before they go into shed, most free ticks don't move at all.
oh yeah,
They literally just go into, like I say, death mode. And
mm-hmm.
then when they get into shed, they die. Like they literally just
My Burmese is like that now. He's been in his water bowl for 2 weeks.
yes.
Yeah. I opened him up earlier today. I tried tapping on the side of the bowl. He stuck his little head out and he looked at me for a second and he just went right back in the water bowl.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
And that's again what you talk about there. They are very good communicators. A reticulated python knows how to deliver what they're
mhm.
trying to convey.
Yeah.
And we just got to be wise enough to understand what means. And so what you like so for me, the only time when they're in that mode when they're going to go into shed that I will bother them is if they use the bathroom or something like that. Other than that, I'm not going to force you to come out to exercise when you don't want to come out to exercise. Like
Right.
you know the difference when you retic wants to come out and you slide that glass open, they
Mm-hmm.
just scoot
Yeah, I
straight
mean,
up
like
to the
today.
front.
Today's Saturday afternoon. If somebody came to my house and tried to drag me to the gym right now,
Yep.
they're gonna,
I mean,
we ain't gonna end up in the gym.
but I mean,
Somebody
it's
going
the
somewhere, but I ain't
reality.
going to the gym.
Yep. All right, so guys, we're going to wrap it up. It's been great. It's been awesome. I definitely know we'll be doing this again. I definitely, when you ever decide to just roll out your live podcast, I know you're talking about that. Would love to just come on over to Intrepid Exotics. We
Yeah.
definitely need to collab more because we definitely share some of the same passions. But like everybody in the chat, definitely please go subscribe to Intrepid Exotics. It's just amazing content, amazing animals, always just positive delivery with great educational dialogue. And I absolutely appreciate everything that you do. I know that it's not easy keeping all those animals but being dedicated to the videos like you are, because I have to get better at that. I'm really good with the podcast, so
It's,
never miss this,
it's tough when
but
you
I
got
gotta get
another
better.
life to live. Tough.
I gotta get better.
Everybody wants to help out. Then the best thing to do is get on there, ask a bunch of questions, and throw a lot of video ideas out there, because after a while you start to cover everything, and now you got to go back and you're like, okay, I need a fresh perspective on this video that I already did,
Right.
because you've kind of got a finite amount of stuff you can do. But if somebody goes, hey, I'd seen this one, can you do it again? Then I can blame it on them. Say, I know I already did this, but somebody wanted to see a fresh take on it, so I'm going to do this.
Right. Well, I
always open for video ideas.
Thank you. Jeremy, my husband, everybody loves this. I'm gonna make sure he knows. He got this for me. It was a surprise. He told me when we were in Tinley, he had a surprise for me. And so now it's unveiled. So it's here and it's there, and I love it. So I definitely will be making it part of the brand. And Key said, great show. Thank you, brother. So everybody go have a great Saturday. Again, if you're not a member of USARK, please make sure that you go to usark.org and get registered.
$40 a year for Burns membership. That's it. That's less than going out to dinner one night.
Yes. Get a $40 bronze subscription at minimum.
Yep.
I always say, though, it's not just about being a member. It's about being an active, vocal, visible member for the good of reptile keeping at all times. So please, please, please make sure that if you are a member, you represent it. I know my crew do. And I just ask that everybody just continue to support the platform for USR.org and continue to support each other. Most important. We can disagree in love. You know, that's how all good marriages sustain. We don't always agree, but we disagree still in love. And that is what we need to do in this hobby. So peace out, everyone. Bye, Tim. Thank you so much.
See you later. You have a good rest of the weekend.
All righty. Bye-bye.